Hello, this is Watch All About with another watch review, and in this review we are looking at another diver from Spinnaker, the Spinnaker Spence SP-5066. Now this is another one of their pretty well-specced, well-made budget divers. This is RRP'd at $285. That equates to around £215. However, you can use the 15% off code WIAA15, as in Watch All About 15. That'll give you 15% off, so it becomes $242.50 or £185. So, what do you get for your money? Well, as is always the case with Spinnaker, you get a pretty well designed diver with a nice spec, decent movement for the price, and just general decent build quality. So let's discuss it in further detail. So first of all, let's start off with the specs. If I pop it on my 7-inch wrist, here we go. So size-wise, 42mm diameter, a height of 14mm, and then a lug-to-lug length of 46.5mm. So 42mm is a pretty good size, I find. 7-inch wrist for me, I think it's on the high end, the top end of size of watch that I like to wear. However, it does feel good and look good on the wrist. Weight-wise, it's 97 grams, so it feels pretty heavy and chunky as well. The height of 14mm is probably a little bit higher than many would quite like. However, I do find it's still reasonably easy to wear, so that's not really a big issue that I found. Water resistance is decent, 20 atmospheres, 200 meters, so it is a proper dive watch. You are okay to swim with this, and it shouldn't have any issues. It has a waterproof strap as well, but we'll talk about the strap in a little bit further on. So yeah, decent water resistance there. 2-year warranty as well, so again, if you do have any issues, you are covered for a reasonable amount of time. Finally, the last thing to mention is the movement. So the movement is a classic Seiko, the NH35. We see it in many affordable dive watches, or just automatic watches in general. Decent specs, 24 joules, 21.6 thousand beats per hour, so it is a low beat, so that runs at 6 ticks per second if you watch it. There we go, so it's not as smooth as a high beat movement, which runs at 6 ticks per second. 41-hour power reserve, and you also have a hacking seconds hand and automatic winding capabilities. And as you can see, we have a custom rotor here that Spinnaker tend to add on all of their watches. It is basically just a sticker, however it's still nice to see that little bit of customization that they've put there. And also just the general finish, the bridges, etc. are all pretty nicely finished as well, just brushed. I did put this on my Lepsy watch scope to see how accurate it was, and it came in at a pretty insane plus 2.2 seconds a day. So that is, while very accurate. Seikos do tend to come out of the factory pretty well regulated. I highly doubt Spinnaker actually made any efforts to regulate it further, so it most likely is just absolute fluke that I got one that accurate. Don't expect every single Spinnaker Spence to be that accurate. One final thing I want to mention is the most disappointing thing about this watch. Unfortunately, it has a mineral crystal rather than a sapphire crystal. Now, it's a bit of an unusual thing because usually Spinnakers have sapphire crystals. So I was quite surprised to find that this only had a mineral. Obviously, mineral crystals are more shatter resistant, however, they are less scratch resistant than sapphire crystal. So whenever possible, I personally prefer a sapphire crystal, and I'm sure many of you guys do as well. So that's probably the only thing that I can consider that is putting me off this watch. So let's discuss it in further detail, aspect by aspect. So starting off with the dial then. As you can see, the main thing with this dial is this really nice textured base. Really does catch the eye, and when you hit the light just right, it really does make it stand out. I also quite like the usage of the Mercedes hands as well. Obviously, classic Submariner style. However, it's nice for it to be used in a different layout of dial. I do like the big bold numerals as well. Just the general design is that little bit different. However, it with these Submariner hands, you know, it has that kind of familiar feeling to it. So I do quite like it, and I like what they've done with the dial. The date wheel, if I just move the second hand, date wheel and date window, as you can see, is nicely done as well. We have a little border around it, which is applied, made out of some sort of metal, hopefully steel. But again, that's nice and neat. We'll have a look at that in closer detail with the macro lens on. But just the general finishing of the watch from top to bottom is really, really good. The loom, it does look relatively strong. However, in reality, it does struggle a bit to stay charged for a very long time. So when you do initially, say for instance, come in from the daylight, it does glow, but it does tend to fade reasonably quickly. However, for a watch under 200 quid, I never really expect too much from the loom, let's be completely honest. So moving on to the case then, I really, really like this frosted, kind of bead blasted finish. I think it looks fantastic. The case shape is really nice as well. I love these very curvy, extenuated crown guards, and the crown is delightful to use as well. Just the general fit and finish of the case is absolutely fantastic. I really, really like, you know, it's a plain shape, but they've done it with such precision. It's really well manufactured. The bezel provides a nice, decent click as well. Not sure if you can hear that, but really easy to use. Let's check out the wiggle. So very minimal amount of wiggle. You can wiggle it ever so slightly if you're trying hard, but for the most part there's no back play whatsoever. Alignment is pretty neat as well, as you can see there, it lines up nicely. Design wise, I do like what they've done here, ever so slightly different to what you'd usually expect and see as well. Now it's kind of like a matte finish to it. I'm not entirely sure what the insert is made of, but I do very much like this matte insert because it goes so well with the matte case, and all of this matteness makes it a really decent kind of tall diver as well. Gives it a real rugged feeling. The crown, as you can see there, really good grip on it, has a Spinnaker logo lightly engraved on the end as well. Moving on to the case back then. Obviously we have a exhibition window with our movement, various specifics engraved around the outside, so nothing too exciting. It is screw-in case back, so that does help with the water resistance as well. Moving on to the strap, so the leather, I always find Spinnaker to have really nice leather straps actually, and this is no exception. Really supple, straight off the bat, lovely and thick as well. And you can see we have some nice little detailed stitching, very, very comfortable to wear, and then our classic Spinnaker buckle with the logo engraved on the top bar. Alright, so let's get the macro lens on and check it out in much closer detail. So starting off with the dial then, you can see our applied logo. I always find the Spinnaker applied logo a little bit thin and not the best looking, so that's a shame. However, if you can check out these applied numerals, they're all nice and thickly applied. You can see our very, very interesting bobbly texture to the dial as well. This little bit of print work is sort of raised above as well. Moving over to the date wheel, you can see how neat the surrounding to the date is as well. And moving on to the hands, so brushed finish on these hands, filled with loom. See there a classic hand shape, and there's our Mercedes hour hand as well. So all in all, you know, very nicely manufactured, apart from just the stuck on logo, but that's the same for all Spinnakers. Moving on to the case then, let's have a look at our bezel. You can see decent grip around the outside, and this blasted finish features everywhere, which is really nice. Our crown guards, I love how accentuated they are. And moving on to the crown itself with the logo nice and deeply engraved on the end. Flipping it over, see our case back with some info engraved around the outside of the exhibition window. And then we have our movement itself, so you can see it ticking away there. And a brushed top bridge. Here's our customized rotor. It's basically just a sticker, but you can see there at least they've made the effort to customize it, which is nice. I do like to see that. And we have some more shots of these. I can spin it around, cogs and wheels and bridges, etc. It's not a gorgeous looking movement, it is hard work. It's known as a workhorse movement, the Seiko NH35, so they made a good choice there. Moving on to the strap. So if I can get a shot here, you can see the nice top grain on that leather strap with our little thick stitching, bit of detail there on the underside as well. And then at the end we have this thick bit of stitching detail on the end there. And then just flipping it over, we have the finish on our buckle as well, which matches the case and the Spinnaker logo. Very nice and deep. All right. So the Spinnaker Spence SP5066 really does look the part. I think it looks really nice. I actually like the fact that it has Submariner, Mercedes hands on a slightly different looking watch. I think it actually works really well together. Price wise, $242.50 or £185. Now, it's a really lovely watch, but for that much money, I would really hope for a sapphire crystal, and that's probably the one thing I can't quite get past. The fact that they've included a mineral crystal, and it's a real disappointment because usually Spinnaker is so good at having the best specs. Obviously, everything else is fantastic. You've got a really nice Seiko movement. General build quality is absolutely flawless, but they've just failed to include a sapphire crystal. I know for some people it's not a big deal. So for you guys who aren't that fussed, then yeah, it certainly is a very nice watch for the money. However, for the most part, Spinnaker themselves have alternative options for the same price with a sapphire crystal. So it just, to me, it's one of those kind of questions that for the same price you can with a different watch, so why would you end up buying this watch? Which is a shame, because apart from that, it's a lovely watch and I really like the design. I love the case. The case is an absolute delight to wear and to look at. Yeah, it's just a shame basically. So personally, I wouldn't buy it, mainly because of the mineral crystal, and I'll just literally buy an alternative Spinnaker for the same price with a sapphire crystal. So this is the Spinnaker Spence SP5066, and this is what it's all about. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and also comment your thoughts below. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.